Hello, beautiful goddess. Welcome back to the Hello Goddess podcast. I am your host, Mandy Deandra Grace. I am a Reiki practitioner, a wellness lover, and a spiritual seeker. So today I'm super excited because we have a special guest on the show. We have Catherine Chandler. So Catherine Chandler is a integrative health practitioner. Catherine focuses on supporting women to naturally rebalance their gut and hormones and achieve a healthy body weight. This allows them to finally achieve the health and wellness that they desire and show up as their best selves in life. By using a variety of health modalities such as functional medicine lab testing, we can gain insight into what specific imbalances a person has, whether it be deficiencies or toxicities, and rebalance these at a root level. We put the body in a position to heal, and then we let the magic happen. Remembering that a balanced body is a healthy body, and that the mind and body are connected and both key to the healing process. So, without further ado, let's welcome Catherine Chandler. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited. Today we have a special guest. Her name is Catherine. Hi, Catherine.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
You are so welcome. I'm so glad that we have connected online. This is a blessing that I could be here.
I feel so blessed too, and I love your content. I don't even remember how I found you online, but I'm so thankful that I did because your work is amazing. It's powerful. It helps women. Like, I love it so much. Thank you for being you, and thank you for the impact that you make in the world.
Thank you so much. Love that. And the same with you. You're doing the exact same thing with your show and your
Aw,
page and everything. So I think that's why we were brought together.
thank you. I think it's the universe bringing us together for sure.
Yeah.
So usually on the show, when I have a guest, I like to let our guests talk about the journey. Like, what's the history there? How did you get to become an integrative health practitioner, and like sharing your passion and making an impact like that?
So yeah, it was really it probably started when I was a little girl and growing up, and my mum was always into trying to support our immune systems and help us to be, healthy and strong, in the best way she could. And so she was always looking for like sort of alternative, holistic, natural approaches, where possible. And so I was kind of, I guess, programmed with that, as we're all programmed growing up. And that was my programming. And as I sort of got older, I forgot about that for a while. And I got, I got a bit sick. My hormones became imbalanced. I went on the pill for a few years, in my 20s. I came off the pill. And then all of a sudden, like, my body sort of just didn't know how to function by itself. And it was really struggling. And so then I was, I had to decide, like, how am I going to support myself back to health? And as a lot of women do, when they come off the pill, they have issues. And then we often go to the doctor and ask, hey, what can I do? And they say, for example, go back on the pill. And then I was like, hang on, I want to get my hormones balanced myself. One day I want to have kids, and, I want to feel amazing, and I don't want to rely on a pill, synthetic hormones to do this. And so then my journey became like, really, I started to work on this. I started to investigate. I started to look at like alternative sort of practitioners and see what can I do. And then maybe this is lengthy, but it gets me to the point of when I decided to, start studying, because I was so interested and passionate. I just love this. And then I decided to study through an awesome program called the Integrative Health Practitioner. And that was in the States, but I actually studied, I'm in Sweden. So I studied online through a doctor out there. And that's brought me to now, where I am now passing it forward, passing it on, what I have learned, because so many women are struggling. So that is my journey in a little nutshell.
That's so interesting. And you say you're talking about the hormonal birth control, and I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm on a IUD present like right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I have no idea. Maybe it's contributing to a lot of my symptoms that I'm experiencing. I have no idea. So yeah, thank you for sharing your story. Wow. And so modern medicine recommends, like, if you're having hormone problems, to go on the pill. Is that what I understand?
Yeah, quite often. Yeah, because it can bring about some relief, and balance, but it's not, root level balance. It's like a surface sort of balance. And so the issues are still there. You just might
Mhm.
not feel them as severely, but you can still not feel great. But that's one of the common things they say is just go back on the pill, which a lot of women, they're not wanting to do that anymore. They're wanting to look deeper. They want to figure out the why. So that's my job. It's like I need to be a detective and figure out what's your why, what's going on for you, because we're all individual. We all have our own history and stories and how we got here. Yeah, so it's a big part of it is the pill and going back on the pill, or some sort of other sort of drug that can mask the symptoms.
I see what you mean. So what are the most common health issues that you see women struggling with? I understand it's like sometimes hormones, but is there other things that are really common?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I guess these also link to hormonal imbalances, but that's a really big one at the moment. And connected to that is then gut health. And these two are, directly connected. It's often when you have an imbalanced gut, you can have hormonal imbalances and vice versa. And then, from that, it's like women are like, okay, I can't lose weight. I feel like I'm doing everything I can. I am eating less and I'm eating well, and I'm eating unprocessed foods. I'm exercising. I feel like I'm exercising like 7 days a week. What is going on for me? And so again, the weight is often connected to the hormones. And then, from with that as well, you're all tired all the time, just no energy. Then there's mood issues, there's anxiety, and this is, and also infertility, like, is really common these days.
Wow.
How many women are struggling to get pregnant? I can't believe how many people contact me like, I can't get pregnant. Like, they try for
Yeah.
years, months, years, and so on. So I would say that's probably what most people are struggling with at the moment. Most women. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I
Mm-hmm.
find that so fascinating. I don't know if we spoke about this, but I've been studying naturopathy for the past 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, nothing against conventional medicine, but there's so much more to look at. And in your job as well, in your profession,
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing things from a different angle. And like you're saying, like, hormones, gut issues, things that are really, really common nowadays, and even fertility issues, which is really unfortunate. So what do you think causes all of these things? What is the root cause?
So, because we are all individual, it really varies. But
Mm-hmm.
and so for one of my clients, it might be very different to another, but they both might be showing, for example, PCOS symptoms, polycystic ovary syndrome, these symptoms, but their root causes could be different. And for a lot of people, it's, in a simple way, you can say it's toxicities and deficiencies. So when we have, an abundance of toxins within our body, whether it's environmental toxins that, we were never designed to take in 170,000 or more man-made chemicals, whether it's gut toxins, parasites, whether it's that we're actually deficient and we're not getting the nutrients that we require to create hormones. Yeah. So these are really common reasons why people are struggling. And another really big reason for women is stress. And actually toxins and deficiencies are stresses on the body. But these are internal sort of stresses that happen. But there's also stress from our life stress. So this has a direct impact. Our higher cortisol levels that we see today in the lab tests I run, the cortisol levels of women are off the chart.
Wow.
They're extremely high. And often when that happens, that increase in cortisol then decreases progesterone. And when it's chronic stress, that's not just, in the moment you've got a stressor like that's normal, but women are under chronic stress because of many different things. But, we're working full time, we're mothers, we want to show up and be best, like for our friends, for our partners, and we respond to stresses a lot, often more, I feel, than men. In my experience, I experience stress. I feel it more, for example. And by the way, I'm not saying men don't feel stress, but the way that I think we function is slightly different. And definitely our hormones are different to men's. And so this stress and this increase in cortisol, and this directly takes from progesterone. So if you're highly stressed, for example, and you can't get pregnant, this is a common reason. You have lower progesterone. You cannot then actually have a baby, get pregnant or sustain a pregnancy. And it's really sad because this can be actually fixed and changed, and it doesn't have to be the case.
That's right. That's so fascinating to me. I'm seeing a lot of posts online about cortisol. Like, this is something that I'm just becoming aware of right now. And like you were talking about, like, even in my course, we talked about the two things that cause illness, deficiencies and toxicity, like you were saying. And I really started to change everything in my environment, like using all natural products on my body and all these things. But then I realized one of the key things that I'm not working on is my stress level. And you're saying that is like a major factor in, having a healthy weight, being able to get pregnant and all these things. So it's just so interesting to me. Why do you think that we should look at the root instead of just going for superficial treatments?
So, as you said before, conventional medicine, I think, has a really important place in our society. And I think that, for example, if I was in a car accident or, really needed support quickly and had my arm chopped off and something, I don't want to see someone like me. I can't help with that. I want to go straight to the hospital and get the best support from the best doctors, And so when their training or approach, I would say, is not to try and figure out the why, like why at the root level are you experiencing these symptoms? It's like, what can we give you? It's $1 trillion industry. What can we give you to take away the symptoms, meaning we mask them so that you might not feel them, but they're under there and then actually not improving and potentially getting worse. And so when we look at the root cause, we get to figure out, like, get really deep within the body and figure out, like, your why. So you will not have to, later on, potentially, you come off those meds and then you're like, hang on, why do I feel so bad? Well, you haven't figured out your why. You've just taken a break from it by, taking some medication, for example. And in that time, it could have gotten worse because you haven't actually looked at rebalancing and at that root level. And so for it depends who you are and what you want in life. You don't have to go and work with someone like me and figure out your why and rebalance everything in your body. If you want to take medication, great, good for you. It's good to have options, I think. And I think people need to know about both worlds and understand it so that then they can have those options and they feel like they've had the choice and they've made that decision for themselves. So for me, it's a no-brainer. Finding the root cause, because I'm someone that wants to do the work and I want to figure out my why, and I want to know that I am thriving within, not just on the outside. And you can do that from the root cause approach.
I love that so much. And it's so true what you said about, like, when it comes to something acute illness, something we need to go to modern medicine, or conventional, I should say, medicine. But when it's something more chronic or even something that's going on emotionally, it's really helpful to go see somebody like you. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. When it comes to figuring out the root cause of things, what spheres do you look at? I'm assuming there is the mental, emotional, and then the physical. Like, what's your
Mhm.
process?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, something that, I studied within, my studies was also functional medicine. And in functional medicine, we use, the best of the best in lab testing, at home lab tests that allow us to, rather than guess what's going on within the body, just run a lab test and we see directly. And so I had to study a range of lab tests, and the biomarkers and what they meant, and how do I rebalance if they are, not within range, for example. And so functional medicine is one of the things that I recommend to my clients to run first. I'm like, look, based on your symptoms, this is what sounds like is going on to me from my experience and my studies. But let's be sure. Let's run a lab test, and then we see like, actually, you do have extremely high cortisol, or you're extremely low in B vitamins. Your omega-3s are really imbalanced. This is going to cause a lot of inflammation within your body. And so we use this to really then drive, what do we need to do next? And then it's also like it can look at your toxins, it looks at your deficiencies. It's absolutely amazing. So that's the first thing I really do, is I recommend the best lab tests that show us what I already believe is going on, but just so I have that proof. And so do my clients, because often we need to see it to believe it, a lot of people. And having that data or those biomarkers in front of you also leads you to take better action, because you're like, holy moly, like I need to do something about this. The proof is here. And so I would say functional medicine's a huge part of the beginning process. And then as well, at the same time, I'm sort of changing their lifestyle, everything. I'm doing a big change into this healthy, balanced approach. So at the same time, we work on, everything from the lab test, and then also what else do we need to be mentally strong and feeling like we can achieve our goals and become well again, because it's a huge part. You have to believe if you're going to actually achieve this new wellness goal, and if you're going to get well. And then we're also looking at bringing the body back into balance. So it's definitely looking at, mental, how can we become mentally stronger? That's what I'm looking at. So I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a therapist where you just come and tell me your childhood traumas and all of these things, because that then as an integrative health practitioner, I would say, I think for that part, go and, you're going to speak to a professional who can really help you overcome that, because I haven't been trained in that. And so that's what the integrative part means. Like, we can connect with different health professionals to really look at this person as a whole and get the best. But I definitely support with more being mentally strong, because my clients in the beginning, they don't always believe that they can achieve the wellness because they've never done it before. And so we need to really work on that to get that physical part to happen as well.
That's so important to know that you're able to heal yourself. Like, I
Yes.
believe in the body's self-healing power, but there's so many different things that you need to look at to be able to bring your body back to balance. And there's, like you said, integrative, like you can, pull from different modalities. And then afterwards, if you're still struggling, go see a doctor. But maybe it's good sometimes to start with things that are basic, like, are you eating well? Are you sleeping well? Are you, dealing with a lot of stress, all these things. I
Yeah.
did not know that you could have lab tests done without a doctor. So that
Yeah.
is really interesting.
Yeah. And I guess that's one of the difference I'm thinking about. You've studied naturopathy, and I study that part of that as my studies, amongst other modalities. And so it was really cool though, because I was thinking I wanted to study naturopathy, but it was just not going to work out with where I was currently in my life and where I lived, etc. But it was a really amazing part that we could study these functional medicine lab tests, and so they must be signed off by a doctor in the lab company, so that they are signed off, or not necessarily in the lab company, but a connected doctor to the company. So they are usually, signed off by a doctor, but I am legally trained and allowed to then, analyze that data and implement that into your wellness plan. So it's really phenomenal. It was my favorite part of my studies was that.
I can only imagine, and I feel like for a patient, a client, to see this data, it must be so empowering because they see something, it's clear what they need to fix, what they need to adjust in their lives. And so I'm wondering as well, do you feel like any woman or any person that brings themselves back to balance is able to heal?
100%. I mean, a healthy body can't be sick.
Yeah.
Like 100%, 1000%. If you give your body, the body, and then therefore the mind, because they're connected, the raw materials that we require as human beings to be our healthiest self, the body will rebalance and heal itself. I am not doing that for anyone. I'm just the facilitator. The body is doing it. Yeah. And I really love learning that from the doctor I studied through. Like, the body will do exactly what it needs to when you give it what it needs, and that anyone can heal. And, and I really, really loved when he was like, yeah, a healthy body can't be sick, meaning chronically sick. So of course a healthy body can get a cold, that's not what I'm saying, but chronically sick, if you're healthy, that just can't happen because you're in balance. So when you bring that body back into equilibrium, you won't be sick. You'll be balanced, healthy, vital. Yeah.
I think this is really important for our listeners to hear, because I know that a lot of women, a lot of people in the world feel like they've exhausted all their options. They feel sick. They don't know what to do. It is possible. Sometimes we need the support of a practitioner to guide us, and all the knowledge we're not aware of. It is totally possible to heal your body.
Yeah.
I do have one last question for you before we do our usual questions that I ask on my podcast. So to the person listening, first of all, I encourage you to go check out Catherine's work. This is just a snippet and overview of what she does, but you'll find a lot more on her Instagram. I'll put all the links in the description box below. But I was wondering if you could give us maybe a few tips for our listeners that they can implement right now to become their healthiest selves.
Great question, because there is so much you can do without overwhelming ourselves and being stressed. Okay, so first of all, we're not moving our body enough. We need to move our body more. Okay, that means simply, walking. So aim for 8,000 steps a day. If you can do that, amazing for your health. Average person gets 3,000. Humans are designed to walk. Secondly, it's super common, but a lot of people are not drinking enough clean water. That doesn't generally mean tap water. Tap water is a whole nother podcast episode, but, really clean water that's potentially been through a filter, so that you are drinking, 2 to 3 liters a day. You need to hydrate your cells, right? Upon waking, you could have a little bit of Himalayan sea salt and lime or lemon juice to really hydrate your cells after a long sleep. That's really, really helpful for your mineral levels. Just take a quality multi-mineral vitamin. So many people are deficient, and it can really be helped with having this. It has to be quality though. There's a lot of junk out there, a lot. I also recommend that you have a healthy, balanced breakfast. Don't skip breakfast. Don't fast for hours as women. It ruins your hormones if you go for too long and you're stressed. So you need to be very careful with how you fast. I do recommend fasting 12 hours overnight, Absolutely. 14 maybe. And then have a really balanced breakfast with protein, healthy fats, and carbs to really balance your blood sugar for the day. You need to balance blood sugar if you want to have balanced hormones. So I'm going to stop there because I don't want to overwhelm, but that's a good start.
All right, thank you so much. There's a few of them that I don't do for sure. The water and Himalayan salt, really interesting. What is that for? Electrolytes or?
Yeah, it's a natural Gatorade actually, because it's the sodium and potassium that our cells need, intracellular and then extracellular, outside and inside our cells. And yeah, natural Gatorade without the colorings and everything that they add to real Gatorade.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And women, listen up. Don't overdo the fasting. It's really not good for your hormones, as she said, because that's another movement right now. The intermittent fasting world is just
Mhm.
like all over the place.
Mhm.
But all right,
And
thank you so much.
I have to say, sorry, there's absolutely a time and place for that and the way that you do it. But in a lot of women's lives, it's mornings are stressful. They're busy throughout the day. It's not the best way to do long fasts when you're stressed and busy. So I am all for fasting. The effects and benefits to long-term health is incredible, but it just needs to be done in the right way and for your specific body type and hormones and all of these types of things we have to take into consideration. Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's no one size fits all. That's a myth.
100%. And guys, if you have any questions, I'm sure Catherine doesn't mind that you shoot her question in her Instagram or
No.
so yes, thank you so much, Catherine. To finish up the episode, I wanted to ask you two last questions. The first one is, knowing everything you know now, all of this knowledge, all of this wisdom that you acquired, if you could go back in time and speak to your younger self, what would you say?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I would say first of all, if you can avoid it, don't go on the pill.
I love that.
But also it got me to where I am today. So I really appreciate that I did make, that mistake. That was me personally. I'm not necessarily saying that for everyone. In general, that's not necessarily health related, but just I think being more authentically me when I was younger, and rather than trying to really fit in with my social group and my peer group and doing, everything maybe deep down I didn't want to do, but I felt I needed to. And so I'm becoming more authentic now as I'm older, but I wish I'd started this journey when I was younger.
I hear you there. But I love what you said about like not wanting to change the past because it brought you where you are now. That is so true.
Mm.
We need to go through some stuff to find our passion, our purpose in this life.
100%.
Thank you so much, Catherine. And our last question, what is your definition of a goddess?
Yes, a goddess. So I think, definitely being authentically you is what I see as a goddess. Someone just putting themselves out there and they're unapologetic for who they are. They're really trying to bring people in the world up, help people become better. They want to improve, but they want everyone around them to also improve. I think living their life with their hearts and love rather than fear, and letting that guide them, and really standing up for their beliefs, and just being who they are. I think that to me is a goddess.
I love that so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I agree with you. Authenticity, I truly believe in because the universe made you a certain way. And so you have to embrace that because that's the only way that you can make a difference is you tap into your true authentic expression. So thank you so much, Catherine, for being on the show. I'm very, very grateful for you.
I'm so grateful that I could be here, and I hope that this can help at least one person. And like you said, I'd love to hear from your listeners, and they can shoot me a question, ask me anything, and I'm here to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And like I said, this is an overview of what she does as work. Go check her out on Instagram. She has some amazing content. If this is something you're struggling with, don't hesitate to reach out to Catherine anytime. And thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Sending you all of the love, all of the light, and the Reiki energy. Bye.
Bye.